Where Detroit will end up in the next 10 to 20 years, I think, will be indicative of a lot of things about America, because again, it is the most American place we've got. If there is sufficient leadership and will and nerve here in the city of Detroit, we could make something that nobody's ever made before. As I said, once you get to the 1980s, Americans became the first suburban population in human history. If we can figure out how a great city, Detroit, inflects itself into this suburban world, how it makes itself available to new kinds of life, new structures of life, new availability of land, a new use of land, the consolidation of neighborhoods. If we can do that, we'll have a city like no other, a great city, a city that could reclaim the kind of prominence that Detroit had in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, when it was literally the arsenal of democracy, a city that looked like the solution to the organization of different kinds of people from all over the world. We could do that again, or we could collapse into a theatrics of blaming and excuse-making and let the city just go on as it always has. Somewhere between those two poles, of blaming and excuse-making, nostalgic kinds of moaning about the past, and on the other side, imagining a great and a brave and heroic future, somewhere between those two poles we'll plot the future of Detroit. And I would put my money on the heroic option. This has always been a heroic city, and I expect it's going to be again.
Looking at where we've been, actualizing the complexity of the city, no one can tell where Detroit will be in 10 years, or even 10 months. The uncertainty of the future inspires intense curiosity. The pure potential of such a place gets a visionary's mental process going and going. Detroit is, above all else, a city of makers. Detroit is a uniquely American city, and it is possible to draw upon the independent democratic spirit that is alive there to rethink and reshape the way Americans think about their cities. As Detroit moves forward, collaboration must occur between the current residents of Detroit and the energetic newcomers to create an environment that fosters human potential via strong education and economic development.
With all the things that are going on, it's sort of like leading to a big change, and I think that a big change is going to happen here in Detroit and maybe start here in Detroit. So with all of these gardens, and even though they're small community gardens, and they're not going to feed that many mouths, but if every neighborhood has a garden, then it's going to take off. A lot of the gardening organizations around here are really focusing on nutritional health and are going into the school systems and sort of teaching kids about gardening. So that I think that will really be a positive thing, because it'll sort of continue and grow and hopefully really prosper in the next, we'll say 10 years or so.
This is the only place where I was born, that has the culture and the large educational institutions, cultural institutions, but also has those elements of the farm that I was brought up with, because it is important that I think for civilization is to return back to an agricultural way of living. I think Detroit could set that example and be the model for the rest of the world on how to make that happen. Because we were the auto industry, all that really kind of came here and started here, but we have this chance to make it more of a cultural industry aligned with this connection to the earth and to the importance of food independence. That's what I feel in Detroit when I'm in Detroit. I feel more like I would be somebody, and the people here would be more like the people that were trying to create the independence from Great Britain in the 1770s. More of an independence from the corporations that I think I consider more of the kingdoms now, that have kind of, over the last 500 years, kind of conquered the earth and took all the natural resources and created poverty, essentially. But here in Detroit, so many people are already becoming independent from that.
I guess the things that people have gotten out of it so far, for Loveland, for the square inch parcels of land, I think the biggest benefit so far has really been in the category of magic. It's like a magic experience. It's like those crazy MFers were actually able to take, this piece of land that everybody, the market had valued it at almost zero, and we were able to, on that first parcel alone, invite 600 people from all over, became tiny little landowners on it, and bought out a 10,000 square inch microhood. And so now there are these people from all over the place that have this fun little tie into the city. There's definitely been something to response in the city, which has just been cool, which is like, I think it's just kind of a sense of awe. It's like, you did that, like that's how you guys like live and stuff. I mean, you take this vacant space that's, that's kind of like, that people really don't know what to do with, and it's kind of sad, and like, what could you do with it? Like, I couldn't think of anything to do with that land. And then through this kind of magical thinking, have kind of showed a kind of positive entrepreneurship that hopefully inspires other people as well.
I feel like a lot of people desert the city, and I know people have to have jobs, I understand that, but we also have to have people to stay and to sort of sweat things out, because things will get better. I know what Detroit was in the past, and I'm confident that it will get to that point again.
I mean, it's kind of a crazy situation, the houses we bought. This is like, sometimes, you talk about these things and get excited, and then sometimes it's like you pull out and you're like, I can't believe we're doing this. I mean, these Imagination Station houses are on a beautiful but empty park. I mean, nobody really uses it, and one of them totally burned out. We've had, we were out there today with somebody with a truck and chains tearing it down next to a hotel that's been empty for decades too. 4 floors, hundreds of rooms, and we're out there, boarding it up with other volunteers last month, boarding up this hotel. And every now and again, it like kicks me in the gut that like this opportunity to like be one of the people that's like digging into this amazing but very strange environment and like helping to light a spark with others to like say like, this stuff doesn't have to be like empty and unused like this, guys. We all just think a little bit differently about this and pitch in. I mean, it's going to take a lot of people. I can't believe that not only is it so awesome and there was an opportunity there to do it, but it has a positive impact, like directly.
Right now, I see Detroit as kind of a blank canvas. There are a lot of creative people producing a lot of creative endeavors, putting out a lot of things that are new and different for Detroit. As just in the last couple of years, as all this awareness of the tap dance community and the history of the art form has grown so much, I just see it continuing to grow, because I know that I'm going to keep my annual event going strong and growing over the next many years. It's going to be an annual event, and I see a lot of people in other artistic fields. I see them kind of on the same page as me, as they're just going to keep they're going to keep producing more and growing. So I'm very optimistic.
I think it can be a new kind of city, because we have the most theater seats in any city in the country, not necessarily all used. So then we have these huge universities, one of the largest medical centers, but combined with grassroots arts organizations like this, and then also all the land and urban farming that's already being done.
I actually think that the perspective of Detroit is starting to shift a little. Just in traveling and just in my own personal experience, in the last few years, more and more people ask me like, so what is Detroit really like? Or what's really going on? Or I really want to check it out. I was there once and I actually had a really, really like good time, and I want to go back. And I think that slowly the negative media, the negative attention of Detroit is starting to shift, and people are starting to see it as a place of opportunity. I mean, there still is dysfunction, like you said, and there still are a lot of problems, but people are starting, I think, to see it as more of a cultural capital.
Young white kids, young black kids, and you taught me one thing, being an old black guy. You guys don't look at color, y'all truly do look at the soul of a person. Y'all taught me, your young generation taught me to don't prejudge, shake a hand, and see if you have a soul kinship. And most human beings do. That's good human beings. So the third Detroit that's gonna take place, that's gonna be one of the most greatest cities on earth, because some of the most greatest human beings is gonna live here. And you guys are the Gandhis, because y'all truly do judge souls, characters, and personalities, and not wealth or color. And that's why, no lie, I have a lot of faith not only in Detroit, but faith in America for what you guys are doing.